I just had to buy these for $1 a piece. Hello YouTube friends. So we have been living in the cabin for over 2 years now, and the one thing that constantly has been an issue for patients and the boys has been the lighting situation. One thing that really helped last summer, we went ahead and put in the patio door down there, and that has helped tremendously, but there are still some areas that are really dark in here. The kitchen's not terribly bad, but it could use some more lights in here. And the bathroom's really bad. It's just not any light in there. The boys remain so great. And then when if we ever want to sit out here at nighttime and read books, it's not as bright as we need. And also down in the basement, we don't have any lights at all yet. So the first thing I'm going to take care of is to get a new 12-volt system set up off of the new battery we installed. The batteries are 24 volts, and the lighting system we're using is a 12-volt system. And so I have a converter that'll break it down from 24 volts down to 12 volts. I'm going to install that on the new battery bank in the basement so that we can add 12 volt lights off of that. So I'll go down there and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've been using this work light attached to an extension cord for light down here. We have some battery lights, but they just aren't very bright. We don't have just a light switch for down here, and we want to get that taken care of. So let me set up some more lights so you can see what I'm doing, and then I will show you over here on the batteries what we're going to do. Okay, so this thing right here is our converter. It's hooked up to our original battery set down in here. It's converting it from the 24 volt to 12 volt going out to our 12 volt system. We originally purchased 2 of them so we'd have a backup, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this second one over here on this bigger battery bank so that I can run a different 12 volt system. I want to separate the water pump from the light system. So right now we have both of our water pump for the water to the sinks and stuff, and our light system running off the same converter. And when the water pump runs, it twitches on and off, kind of, basically. It's an RV pump, and so it makes our lights flicker. And so I'm going to put them on 2 separate systems, and that way they won't flicker anymore. These converters are pretty straightforward. Pretty difficult to mess up. So we'll put the red and black wire on the left onto the battery bank, and we'll do the yellow and black wire out to our 12 volt system. Alright, so this is where I have decided to mount the converter right here. We're going to do a red wire to the battery post here, and then a black wire over here to the underside of this breaker. So it's not affected by the breaker, it's going to be coming out of the BMS. The BMS here is to protect the battery from going too low voltage or too high voltage. And I want to have this connected on the other side of that so that the BMS could still protect the battery from the water pump or the light, whichever I choose to hook up to this. Alright, so it is time to connect the converter to the system. In order to do that, I need to take off these nuts right here on these cables, and so I need to shut the system down. So I am going to first turn off the solar panels. So you can see, if you look up here, you can see that it's connected to it's indicating that it's connected to the solar panels in the corner there. I will now go ahead up here and flip my solar panel disconnect. It's just like a battery disconnect. But if you watch now, the solar symbol will go away. And then now I'm going to shut off the inverter, which is going to kill one of our lights down here, so you notice that. But so now the inverter is off. And so now I'm going to disconnect the battery There, so now the unit is disconnected from the battery. It's completely uncharged. The only way power could come into it now is if the generator got started outside. So now the charging unit, the controller, is safe for me to disconnect the battery and connect my leads up to the converter, and then I'll turn all that back on. There. Okay. Hold this over here. Okay.
That's why it sparked.
Yeah. So this thing's automatically hot now, unless the BMS shuts it down because the battery's too low. I'm gonna get this a little tighter, I think. Okay, don't want to break the stud off. Alright, so now I want to get a fuse hooked up into that right away. It's only supposed to be 200 or 300 watts, I think, but just want to protect stuff. If we hit a short upstairs in our cabin, we don't want to start the cabin on fire. So I'm going to be putting a fuse on, and depending on whether it's the water pump I run off of this battery or the lights, I'll adjust the fuse accordingly for each one now. So whichever one runs the lights, I'll put a really low amp fuse, very, very low. And whichever one runs the water pump, I'll put an appropriate fuse in for that when I take a look at the water pump and how much power it uses. Okay, before we go any farther, I'm going to turn the inverter back on because we're missing solar right now and there's some things that aren't running, like a freezer. So I'll put the battery back on first. So now the battery's on. Now I'm going to flip the inverter back on and wait for it to register the battery. So if you watch, it's registering the battery now. Battery's at 26.45, 26.5. It kicked on the inverter. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn on the solar panels so it can continue to charge. And it'll recognize it there just in a second. And it'll start to charge again. Alright, so that's back on now. I can go ahead and hook up my fuse. Okay, so just to be safe for now, I put caps on all of the ends. I got a cap here on the negative, I got a cap on the end of the positive after I screwed on. And so I'm going to connect it now. Okay, so here is my new positive on the end of the fuse. All capped off and safe. Here is my negative. And when I'm ready to run the water pump to this, I'll go ahead and uncap them and wire the water pump in. Okay, so we've got the power off. We know because the fridge isn't running anymore. There's usually a light on that. I can see that that's off. I'm going to go into these switches here. Now, we keep our water pump on a switch so that when we leave, we can flip it off. We don't want something to, because we run off of batteries, we like to make sure most things are shut off when we're gone. But maybe we won't have to do that anymore if we have the converter down there hooked on the other side of the BMS. So maybe we won't have to do that so much. But we tend to flip off the water pump switch when we leave the cabin, just to make sure that we don't have the pump running accidentally the whole time we're gone. Okay, so this is the line going down to the water pump. Right now it's being fed into by the DC system. So I'm literally going to disconnect. I'll disconnect one of these and put it onto the white one. So it's just a loop up here, and then we'll power it downstairs. So which one do I want to disconnect? Well, I'm going to have to undo both of them. So this is 12 volts right now, and it's powering this light switch. We're just going to recap that off. And this is also 12 volts right now, and it's powering the water pump, but we're going to power that downstairs on a completely different 12 volt system. Pull these apart. So when I touch it to the... Again, that's just 12 volts. Okay, so these two need to get back together. Let's straighten them out just a little bit for now. So that our 12 volt system can work for the lights. Okay, and that's our light system. And where this used to tie in, so this used to tie into the 12 volt system and get power and then run down to the water pump. We're going to have power down there now, so this is just an on-off loop. So this won't even be positive and negative up here. This will just be one half. It'll be either positive or negative depending on which one gets sent up here. And it's just going to be a disconnect. So I can put these together. Okay, so now when we put power downstairs, it'll come up. If this is on, it'll allow the power to go through back down. Otherwise, if it's off, it won't. Make sure I put it in the right way. Okay, back downstairs. Okay, and switch is not getting connected to the new power line, and then the power line will get switched. It'll go separated. One will go that way and one will go this way, with the switch upstairs interrupting it. And then the switch is flipped on, it'll complete the circuit and everything will be powered. Though it may power it backwards on the pump, so I might have I might have to flip it later. Or I could just flip which direction they go. How are we going to test that? I guess let's look down here to see which one's which. Okay, so down here, I've got this one is the red, the positive, which is going into the white. So the white is the positive. So I'll do white going towards the pump. And then remember that white is positive on this other end. So I'm going to flip these. White will go towards the pump as positive. Black will go towards the switch. And then over here, when I connect it onto the converter, the 12 volt, 24 to 12 volt converter, I'll hook the white up to the positive and the black to the negative, black to black, or like that. Okay. Did you say you got a third one out?
Yeah, it's under the hammer.
Okay. And to the pump will be positive. Okay, now I'll come over here and hook up the white to the positive side of the converter and the black to the negative. Okay, so I'm going to connect the white one to the positive and the black one to the negative. Apparently I didn't leave myself enough room, so I'm going to have to pop that back. Or tighten that just a little bit, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to have to go black to black. Let's go behind that one. Okay, and then I'm going to go white to hot. Okay, so now if we go upstairs and flip the switch on, or we yell upstairs to a child, Isaiah, can you flip on the water pump, please? Sure. And then I don't know if the water pump is engaged right now with the pressure switch, but there it goes. So we can hear it running. It's feeding this pressure switch right here, which I can shut it off, and then we go. All right, so the water pump is running now on the new converter. Time to get the fuses set to the appropriate amps and run some lights down here next. In, step out. There. I'm trying to touch the light so it turns on. I believe these are, yeah. So I'm going to turn on the other way if we don't all get blinded. So I can literally just solder a wire to this light, and then that'll be, I don't need to buy a fixture, and the fixtures were like $9 a piece. So I bought like 20 of them already upstairs. Well, we didn't go through that many, maybe 15. I just had to buy these for $1 a piece. So we will solder a whole bunch of, just, you know, on like a 6-inch, we'll solder like a whole bunch of them on. We'll use a white clip to mount it. You know, so have the light will be attached, soldered on the end. We'll cut it off here. This will be mounted to the wood structure, and then we'll wire nut into the system over there. So let's go make a bunch of those. Adding solder to the to the light fixture so that when I try to solder on the cables later, there's some solder there to work with. So I'll do this to the wires too before I... Lights are reversible for polarity on the positive and negative. So I'm going to heat up this wire a little bigger. It'll take a little more to heat up. I do want to get some solder on this here. Just get it coated. Do the other one. These lights are reversible for polarity. So it doesn't matter which one I put on where for now. Get all three of these with some solder on them. So now the next step is to attach the wire to the light bulb. Just make some room for the one I'm going to work on. Just set all this stuff over here for now. Probably better if I work this way. So I'm not going to add any more solder at this point. Basically going to just hold this above it, press down with some pressure, and then heat everything up. If you watch it, it'll all melt on this one side. And then when it cools, it'll be connected. And I'll do the other side. So you can see it's already soldered on one side. And I heat up the other one. Okay. And let it cool. And if we take this back downstairs now, it should light up just by connecting these two to the... Oh, that's really hot on the end still. But then we can put a white clamp over this and bend this to point any way we want, and it's a light fixture just like that. So if I touch the two of these together, it should turn on, and like I said, it should be reversible. So it doesn't even matter. So I'm reversing the polarity by flipping it over, and the light still works either way. So it doesn't matter which side I solder them on. So this is a whole light fixture now. You know, obviously I can have a switch anywhere. I can have a switch anywhere I want to turn this on and off. You know, if I want to string a bunch of them together. But we'll put at least 3 of them down here on a switch and a circuit, and we'll show you what that looks like when we're done. Okay, so we've got a wire here extended to our converter. We want to try some of these lights before we wire them all together. You know, see, we don't want to be wrong after we've wired everything together. So I got one light I got one light attached up here. I'm going to touch the ends to it, and then I'm going to see if it shines a light over here on all the battery stuff as much as I would want it to. How do I get this now? It's hard to see. You ready? Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay, let me get the lights off.
Okay, you can turn off everything
The work
else?
lights, yeah.
Okay.
See if I
Oh
can-
yeah, that is plenty bright over here. No problem at all.
So that's just one little light.
Yeah. That's gonna be perfect.
All right, let me get the other lights back on for you.
Okay. No, I'm gonna hit my finger. I just know it. Don't want this coming up. Ow. Got my finger. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna flip it. Nothing. Oh boy. That's bad. Means I got something wired wrong.
I'm sorry.
So there's lights upstairs. Okay, so we got. You hold this and tell me if it reads volts. How do I want to check this? Well, obviously there's no volts there. I mean, this is the point where we're most likely to have something wrong. Okay, so I got power coming in, going to this one, going to that one, going down to there. So theoretically, any two I check should be. I guess let's just check here first. Let's see if we got voltage here. Okay, does it say any voltage?
Yes.
3 volts. That's not very good. Why is it only 3 volts? That looked like a decent connection. Put it that way. What the heck? Okay, we have to include this light somehow. Basically, it's not included right now. I've got a weird loop. Yeah, I don't know. It should work. We didn't check all the lights before we... Rats.
No, we didn't.
Well, you came up with it. So, okay. So, without thinking about it, thinking I was going to make one big loop, I hooked all the lights up in series. Well, each light needs 12 volts. But as soon as you hook 2 lights up together in series, each would only be at 6 volts. And then as soon as you hook 3 lights up, they're each only at 4 volts. And then when you hit 4 lights up, they're only at 3 volts. And that's not enough to turn them on. So I wired it incorrectly. Patience pointed it out to me. I don't know how that's possible. I'm beside myself. And now I'm telling her how I'm going to fix it. And she's like, well, she doesn't understand. I'm like, well, you're the one that told me it was wrong in the first place. So I
listen half the time.
All right, so as soon as I touch these 3 wires right here, this one will turn on, and, well, that one should already be on. That one's on, right?
That one's on.
This one will turn on as soon as I touch, well, it should have as soon as yeah, okay, so this one turns on, and if I connect this one down through here to the...
Is it on? I can't see.
Oh, I touched it for a second.
Oh.
Trying to get wires ran around here. Okay. Just gotta get them close enough to fit into the same wire nut, which is a problem sometimes.
The one on the other end started turning on too.
Yes.
It's disco, but it's working.
It's what?
Disco.
It's disco?
Flashing.
Okay, so I need a big red wire nut. We're gonna have to rerun the outlet, or the flicker switch, to turn them all on and off. We're gonna have to run one wire all the way to that and back. But I've got it figured out now. It's not good that one keeps turning on and off. It means I need to twist more. Well, that does the lights down here. I didn't feel like I had enough energy to change this mess around. So that'll be a project for another day to get this remounted. And the wiring's a big mess up there. I want to order a new attacher here. Can't remember what it's called right now. I want to order a new one of those and get that looking nice because that's just a big mess. But that'll be for another day. We still have more lights we want to put in upstairs, so we're going to go work on that next. Okay, so this is our bathroom. We have one light up here. It kind of hangs over the shelving unit that we have above, so it kind of always gets shadowed when we put stuff up there. It's kind of annoying. So we're going to move it over here, and we're going to put another one over there, and then we're actually going to put one in the shower here too, above the shower. And that'll actually be on a separate light switch because we don't use the shower, you know, that often compared to the rest of the bathroom. And so we'll put a separate light switch. So we'll put another light switch next to here. One light switch will be for the 2 lights through the bathroom, and then one light switch will be for the shower. All right, let's get at that. That looks like it's gonna work. Did you see him flip on?
Yep.
Try to get a wire nut in there. Okay, so we've got the 2 new lights in here. The third light is placed for the shower, but it's not on yet, and we're just feeling that it's not bright enough in here yet. And we're kind of feeling that it's because before we had a light that kind of shined against the wall, or the roof wall, what it is, and shone back at us, so it looked brighter in here. So we're going to put in another light over here that will shine this way at the wall. So we'll place it on this board on the far side, and it'll shine at the wall, and that way it'll hit the wall and bounce out and make us just feel like it's brighter in here. Even though this is a lot brighter now already, it just doesn't feel bright because all of a sudden we're looking at a dark wall where we used to always look at a lit up wall. So we're going to light this wall up. Okay. What do you think of something like that?
Probably.
Okay, we're going to check and make sure that that light's working. I'm going to try and hold this so these wires touch, and then the light should come on. And it's not. That's not good. Come on. Maybe I'm not touching them yet. Okay. All right, that'll be ours. So now I just connect in the switch. The light switch. So let's get these wired together. Okay, so now the light switch works for the shower light. And then if we shut off the light, still stay in the shower.
Very nice.
All right. So now it's on to the kitchen. I'm going to take the light that we got out of here, and I guess come along, I'll show you. Okay, now that we've got the bathroom done, we're going to take the one light fixture that we took out of the bathroom and put it up here. So there'll be 3 of them now, and they'll all be the same. So we'll just put one more up there. Right there. Nope, right there. Yep, right there. Nope, right there. Okay. Why do up there what I can do down here? Right?
Yep. What's that fixture look like?
This is the fixture that came out of, this is the actual light that came out of these for an RV. And it's kind of expensive to buy the whole thing. Until I realized that we could just buy light bulbs. So Kind of hoping this one goes easy, but we'll see. This will be the one I fall off the ladder on, of course.
It's the only one you've been up on a ladder for.
Oh, I wasn't. Well, I wasn't this high in the bathroom, I guess. But... Okay. I feel like I'm just completely facing the wrong way. Okay, there we go. So this one's gonna go to there, and we want it about right here. Okay. I'm gonna get me a hammer and a wire or a cable to wire cable anchor. All right, so one thing I forgot to do as I was making the light fixtures is I need to insulate the two conductors on the light bulb and the wire so that if they were to short out with another piece of metal somehow that they don't spark or break the fuse down in the basement. Now that's why we have the fuse in the basement, is to prevent, you know, a piece of metal from shorting across it and getting super hot to where it could start a fire. But to help even prevent that even more, I'm going to put a little bit of a hot glue on top of the conductors so that nothing can short across it. So basically preventing things from touching it. Okay, so this one's all insulated. It's going to add an extra layer of safety and protection. Like I said, there's a fuse in the basement, so it would have been fine, but there's no need to not be safe. So we'll make sure they're all insulated, and we will insulate them with the hot glue gun as we make them, so it's just easier to do ahead of time while it's in front of you working and not attached to the wall. Okay, so we got all the lights in for now. I think we could add some more, but what do you think? Is it better?
Yeah, it's way better than it was before. So now I can see how dirty the house is. I need to clean now.
Is that one advantage of a dark house?
I guess so. Less lights, less, dirt you see.
Okay, so for now, that's that.